It's a good question. And because this is what a lot of clients say, you know, after could be the FI we did yesterday. If you're going to go in and change the length, the habitual length of muscles, yeah? So that's what you're saying. I'm not sore in my joints, but I'm feeling all my muscles. You sort of expect it, don't you? That the muscles are sort of going to have a little bit of a, this is... And again, as long as, you know, if a client, I'll usually say to them, don't be with some of them, if I've done, you know, I really feel that we've changed the length, the habitual length of a lot of muscles, I'll say, look, you may feel this a little bit tomorrow. Some of your muscles might ache a little bit. It's absolutely fine as long as you feel your movement's not interfered. Yeah.
Is there a difference between pain and ache?
Yeah, well, let's ask. Martina? Is there a difference between pain and ache?
Absolutely. Pain is almost, it's something which feels sick and unbearable, and while an ache is just, you know, something has changed, something is there. That's for me the difference.
I think this is why I got Martina to say it's totally personal.
For me.
How people define when something's pain, when it's an ache, absolutely personal. It's how their whole construct of what those words mean to them in their sensation, their experience and their experience of other people being in pain, and there's many, many beliefs that people have about pain, whether it's good, bad or indifferent.
I usually ask people when they say they have a pain or an ache on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 unbearable and 1 it's just there. I ask people to define it like that. I think that's more accurate.
And again, it's totally subjective, based on someone's experience. But absolutely, people can feel exactly what you're saying. And you've probably all felt it after doing ATMs. When something's really changed, its length, it's sitting in a non-habitual, if you like, configuration. Again, the important thing is your breathing still okay? Is you moving fine? You would expect it to settle within 2 days. I think the other, yes, Simon, please.
With regard to muscles hurting, I wonder, when you're busting out of habitual patterns of movement and possibly recruiting other muscle groups to do movements that you're not necessarily familiar with, whether that could give rise to it as well.
Exactly the same sort of thing.
And a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, a little bit of a boring story for everyone who's heard me talk about it, but I've changed some of the ways in which I walk, and for a little while there, my calves were killing me because I just changed a few small things, but like I'm pretty fit and I walk a lot and I run a lot, but all of a sudden something as simple as walking was creating a lot of pain that was aching some of the time, but in a really pleasurable way.
I think that's a really nice word that you say, pleasure and pain in a way. And it sounds like a bit of a paradox, but there is something.
Association. usually in pain, and I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. So I think there's something very different when someone's in pain. These are some of the distinctions I'll probably make in my practice. If someone's in pain and you can see it's taking all their attention. Yeah? Whereas Martina's sitting there saying she's aching, but she's absolutely still in the world. She's moving. Whereas, you know, and you've probably, I'm sure all of you must have had some experience of pain where it just takes all of your attention. And there's that big difference of it's all of my attention. And, you know, if I'm giving a session with someone and if they can get up at the end and I can see there's still pain, but they're in the world again. That's a big transition. That's a huge transition. So the pain's still there, but it's not engulfing. But, you know, we could talk forever on pain.
I've got this fibromyalgia, and with time I learned to put the pain in the background. But it's not that easy as someone who wouldn't have pain at all. And this morning I discovered something really good when I came to the class. First of all, I was not so stressed not to be late. And then when I was walking and came out of the car, everything was aching and hurted. And as soon I left that focus, and somehow something changed, and I got moving really fast. So that's that play what you said yesterday, outside and inside. And it's the same in my life. My cupboards has to be clean. The outside doesn't bother me. And I think there is a change coming. Sorry? No, it's not the German thing. Some people can clean everything outside and have everything tidy. And it's something, I don't know.
It is. And they're all what makes us comfortable in a way too. You know, what is it that, you know, why do we want the clean? It's control, but does it make us somehow feel more comfortable?
Yes, it's soft.
You know, is there something about when I'm starting to get stressed that if the house is a mess too, it's like, it's all too much for me. And if I can get one environment a little bit, and you could say under control, but it's about making me feel comfortable. It's about me being able to find a way.
She's at home habitual.
And then it's the, you know, the choices. You know, I often say to people, you know, how easy is it to change habits? You know, clients will always say to me, but how long will this last? What's the thing? And I'll always say to them, you know, the big lifelong habits that you've got, and I'll often say to them, you know, mine, without a doubt, from my background, from who I am, is about I can be too responsible. And I said, that's one that I chip away at like a piece of granite that, you know, a little chip gets taken away and but then another little chip. It's not something, it's so ingrained in my whole functioning that it's not something that is changing easily. But isn't that sort of growing up and maturing? Becoming aware.
Then you're perfect before you're done. Just in time. Just in time, yeah. I'm really nice people being
But that's what you're playing with, people's beliefs. But I think that's really powerful. Thank you for that, Karen, because that's what I was saying yesterday about so much of ATM teaching is where do we direct people's attention? And directing it in non-habitual ways often. Directing it in ways that they don't normally do it. So, you know, it's a huge one for for you to go, ah, just shifting my attention changes everything.
Yeah, and then I hit the red light and everything came back.
Absolutely, because it's really in there as a pattern.
Walking. I go, oh, 2 minutes. And that's my life about as well. Then the obstacle comes in the way, and what do?
We revert to our habits. And then, it's just as Martina said, but we've got a little bit more awareness of, here I go again. And I think that's where the reversibility comes in, because it's understanding that sometimes I go so far back into my habit that I haven't got any reversibility. It's like I'm stuck there. It's, like I've done this movement and I've gone so far out of my, to the end range that there's no way to get back again. And that's why reversibility is such a powerful learning strategy. That ability that I can go away from home, go away from my habit and come back. And I can go away and come back. And I can go away and gradually I can get further away and come back. So reversibility is one of our really big strategies for quality movement. And that's why it is so important. Think of all the times, I'm sure you've all had times in your life when you're sitting there and part of your head's going, this isn't what I want to be doing. But I'm doing it, but this isn't. And that's where you've lost reversibility. Yeah, but at least there's a part of you in there that's going, this isn't. So that's a big first step, but that's reversibility. How can I go more toward that and not get lost in it, but find that way to reverse out of it?
Is that true of all of the question? The Feldenkrais learning attributes, it keeps on. What fascinates me is that it seems that the various learning attributes or the philosophies of learning that are embedded in the Feldenkrais method are derived from the physical, the bodily sort of processes, and yet they extend out into all these other facets of life. And so my question is, do all of the learning attributes have that further application in your experience? Like if I think of writing them all on the wall and looking at them, are they all kind of like philosophical?
I think you could answer a lot of those. But definitely in terms of what he would call the characteristics of a well-learned, well-organised movement. So he was really clear that the characteristics, the observable characteristics, if I was watching you do something, or anyone was watching you do something, would be the absence of effort, the absence of resistance, the presence of reversibility and adaptable. So they're the observable characteristics that you would be looking to see, and that's why we stress the quality so much. And then how we direct the attention. How do I get more quality? How can I reverse my attention? How can I find less effort in how I attend to something? How can I not get caught in two different things? So there are many, many learning strategies. They're the 4 that he uses as his criteria for actually observing a well-organised, well-learned movement. Function. Probably be a better way of saying it. Yeah, it is actually in great detail written in the potent self. But I can absolutely write them down for you. And he goes into more detail in the potent self.
I'm just interested to find out with like people that you might see who've had chronic pain or who have that kind of fear of and withdrawal from things that they enjoy in life and that sort of thing, that it is completely consuming. Because I suppose that that's an area of physio that I find really challenging, trying to be able to get those people changing some of those habits that are so ingrained, or just trying to get back into some of those things that they enjoy in some capacity, so that they're not just 100% focused on their pain. But what my question is sort of about is, sort of like someone was saying as well, how much do you think you address just through like using your hands and FI, and how much do you, with those sort of clients, feel that you need to talk to them about the impact of their thoughts? And I don't know, like, do you ever refer to psychologists or anything like that? Or
I can't do it all. I don't ever think that Feldenkrais is the be-all and the end-all of all existence. And again, probably Lisa would be really good to talk about some of this, or people. I do work a lot with pain. The difference is that I do work in a private practice, so people already have to have had some sort of commitment, do you like? Do you know what I mean? There's already something there that they are prepared to go and see someone to help themselves, if you like. So I would say the best thing about the work I do is because people actually need to make that step to even contact me, is they all already have hope that something can be different. And I think that is the bottom line. And I think it's very difficult working with someone, and I'm really happy to hear your comments on this, who doesn't hold hope. Do you know what I mean? Who really is in the place that nothing's ever going to change, everything is going to be the same. And I do have a couple of clients like that, and it's chipping away again at granite. And it's a very individual thing how you approach them. You know, I don't have a set recipe for who I'm going to talk to. Some people, to even get to go and see someone, you've just got to drop these little hints in, and there's maybe initially a little bit of resistance or a lot, and you just sort of keep dropping the pebbles in. But really,
yeah, because I've just noticed as well, even with the FIs that I've had, that some people tend to, and it depends on the FI, I suppose, but talk more than others.
Mm.
Like Zoran seems to love to talk during his FIs.
he does.
Which is kind of a different thing. So I think one of the things that you were talking about was how to get them to engage more in things that they love doing. And I think that's one of the things that you can identify in terms of function and movement, is to be working towards something that they love instead of working towards how to stand.
Someone else,
you know, like to really have that as maybe a long-term goal. And if their goal is, which I had somebody who couldn't do anything and she wanted to, you know, do this enormous bike ride, including mountains and things. So we said, look, we hold that as an idea, and then what are the steps we need to, you know, first you need to be able to sit on a bike. So first you need to be able to sit on a chair. So, you know, to be relating to those things so that they have that image of where they could be going. They can imagine themselves maybe in that activity again, but you're working towards it. So that's one thing. But yes, I agree, absolutely. But by the time people find me, they've tried everything else.
They've tried everything.
And so it's actually a really good position to be in, because any change that you make is significant usually.
Some people don't take responsibility.
Yeah, and that's part of the shifting of...
And it's not for everyone.
Yes, exactly.
You know? It's not for everyone, this methodology.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I would add is, especially people in pain, I am going to make absolutely my first priority is to make them feel successful and competent in whatever I'm getting them to do or whatever we're doing. And I will usually engage them very quickly. I will probably talk a lot the whole first session. Saying what I'm doing, what I'm noticing, you know, oh, I'm feeling for this. Can you feel that? Can you? Yes, I'm really building up.
So they're looking for other sensations apart from. Otherwise, they're looking constantly for pain. They're protecting them. So yes, trying to
involve them.
Yes, involve them and think that there are other sensations you can pay attention to. That's not about pain. Yeah.
So you wouldn't let them focus as much on that.
Absolutely, but I'm not on their pain. You know, so I might be pushing through their foot, for example, and saying, "Oh, how far do you feel that? I feel that it gets to your ankle and your knee, and then it sort of feels like it stops at your hip. What's your experience of that?"
You train them to follow a different path of attention.
I'm teaching them the rules of the game. What I want, what we're interested in them paying attention to.
Because paying attention to pain is a habit.
It's a habit.
Like, you know.
And it's a pretty all-consuming one when you're in a lot of
yeah.
Are there occasions when you might think a person's better off doing ATMs rather than FIs?
Mm-hmm. And FIs rather than ATMs.
What's that mostly based on?
Probably if you start watching, and we'll be guiding you in learning activities to do more of this. If you start watching more of the Amherst FIs, it's really wonderful to see when does he choose to engage the person in the lesson, when does he only do hands-on in the lesson. Some lessons are absolutely just all ATM. He's telling the person what to do, and most are a mix, but some are absolutely just hands-on. And I'm just going to leave it pretty open for you at the moment. I've got lots of thoughts about it, but just go and have a look. And because Lisa and I were just having this funny conversation earlier, we definitely in our training got the idea, for whatever reason, we constructed this idea that FIs you didn't talk, because I think Feldenkrais said it once. And that was right. But you watch him, everything is fair game. You know? So the people that I would probably do more FI with are people that I felt who probably had a lot of pain, and I wanted to set them up about the distinctions they would need to make to be able to go into an ATM class. And people who I want to get into ATM are the people who I can feel are starting to rely on me more. And that I just know that doing more positions and bigger movements and getting involved in a group would be much more beneficial for them.
Some people with pain are very much aware they don't want to be touched because they always think someone is forcing.
Oh, that's all the kids you see too. I mean, high alert, high vigilance, people, yeah. And it's all their expectations. And that's why, you know, I think you have to be able to feel that and go, okay, is this okay? You know, just setting it up that they feel that they've got some say in what's happening. Yeah, sure. And we'll make this the last one and move on, because this could be a conversation that could go on all day.
So as far as my experience, we've been doing like little mini FIs to each other, just touching, sensing and everything. And then we get up and then we have different sensation, longer, lighter. But when we go back to actual world, the people who are in pain and been diagnosed with really, you know, like I had a friend, she's been diagnosed with these ankylosing spondylitis, and she's been in pain and like really bad pain. So I did try to.
For those people who don't know, it's an inflammatory condition, so these people get a lot of inflammation and a lot of stiffness.
And her spine is fused. She was diagnosed actually when she was 21. Now she's 36. And she has flare-ups like during the, especially when the temperature changes, like autumn to summer or winter, you know. So she was in a lot of pain, and because she's just a 2 house away, like neighbor. So I asked her to come and just, you know, let's, you know, see if I can help you. And I did all that scanning, just not having any intention to, you know, move her or, and I also explained her that it's just two-way. So you don't have any expectation, I don't have any expectations, and let's see what happens. So first it was really, really bad. Like she was in a lot of pain. She didn't want me to touch, move, just forget about move, but just not even touch. But I was just thinking, like, I did 1 hour, spend 1 hour, and at the end she was up and she said, no, I don't feel anything. But so that's possible, isn't it? Like, we spend so much time giving 100%, and even here 10 minutes is more than enough, and 1 hour is not enough.
So that really depends, Madhavi, on her ability to sense herself.
Okay. And because she is in the pain already.
No. I don't think those two necessarily always go together.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think pain. I think pain can be a very separate thing from your ability to sense yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that's what we'll often, you know, it's a common comment that people will say, you know, someone gets up after a lesson and, you'll hear practitioners say, and, you know, what do you notice? And the person goes, I don't feel any different. And the practitioner goes, but it was so different, you know, that's your role as the facilitator.
Okay. Yep. But later on she started to respond. That's great. Like she was having more trust, maybe. I think that helped her, that I'm not gonna hurt her. And then later on it's getting, although she's in pain, but because she's more.
What's the most, well, this goes back to the answer, one of the things here. What's the thing that is absolutely essential in any interaction with people is developing relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
Yep. Okay.
You're developing relationship to allow a learning environment to be created.
Oh yes, yeah, I can see now that, yeah. Because
then
then
she
was
trust you, do you know what I mean? That there's respect there on both sides.
Yeah, and then she wanted to come every day. That was great.
So there's lots of big things, but it's great that you're having questions. So let's do an ATM. Change the. Change the tempo.